So, Philip, thank you for joining me this morning. I'd like to, right off the bat, ask you, who is Philip Cooper in the online world? I see you have a significant online presence, and tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself, please.
Well, I'm a Western North Carolina native. A regional change agent. I do some advocacy work, some organizing, community organizing. It all stemmed from working in prison reentry, working with people, getting them connected back to the workforce, to job trainings. Along with that came advocacy for other resources that they needed. As we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are times when we have to advocate to make sure they get food stamps, or if they don't qualify for food stamps, making sure we connect the dots for them to have that resource. There's some advocacy going on here lately at the DMV because the DMV is backed up. So it's a lot of advocacy that goes along with this workforce development for formerly incarcerated folks. As far as my online presence, I'm a millennial. I've seen somebody say exennial, and it's like a mixture of a millennial and a Gen X. I was born in '84, so by definition, I'm millennial, but I got the work ethic. But they say the millennial that has the work ethic like the Gen X is the zennial. I seen that on LinkedIn. But I'm really into technology, bro. Like, I remember when I was younger, when the gateway computers, my dad had a gateway computer at the house. I've always been intrigued by, the computer, how the computer works. I go all the way back to Number Munchers and Oregon Trail. I was just always intrigued. And I'm not even a video game kind of guy, but just something about technology and that social networking. I'm a socialite anyway. And then you give me this computer and I can be connected with people all across the nation, all across the world, with a commonality, man. It's nothing like it.
Yep, you're right. And when you said that, I had this flashback to the days of dial-up technology, when that was how we connected to the internet. And the world definitely has changed, and we'll continue to talk about broadband with that. So, second question, what online channels does Philip use and why?
I use, for the most, well, when I'm on my MacBook, I'm on Safari. That's what I'm on my MacBook. Though I do, utilize the Microsoft Office suite on my MacBook. I get that discounted because I'm a employee at the community college. I use Chrome for the most part. I use Chrome on my Dell on the PC, which here at AB Tech we have the laptop set up with the docking station, and I use Chrome, and so Chrome and Safari. I love Outlook the most. Outlook is my favorite. Like, I have gotten used to it because I worked at the college since 2014, and I started as an administrative assistant. So I got really acquainted with the Microsoft Office suite.
All right. So you talked about web browsers and the email software, but what about social channels? What and why do you use Facebook or LinkedIn or others? What is your twist on that?
Well, Facebook is my favorite. LinkedIn, I don't know, man. It's like a mix. I like, now that I'm like gung-ho workforce development, LinkedIn is really my jam. But I like Facebook because, connected with more people, more on a personal level. And really, I'm an open book either way. Like, I've been in some classes like professional developments, and they're talking about whether or not to allow a former client or a client be a friend on Facebook. But the way that I operate on Facebook, I want everybody to follow me because I'm shooting out current events. I'm letting people know about opportunities at the college, opportunities in the workforce, opportunities to volunteer opportunities, internship opportunities, always pushing it out there on Facebook. So, I'm the kind of guy, I want you to follow me. I got 5,000 friends, so I can't bring in more people, that cap on Facebook. But that's how I roll. And I try to use my Facebook page is really like my website. As far as LinkedIn goes, that's where I do my networking with HR professionals. And that has found to be very valuable. At first, when I seen LinkedIn, I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't understand, right? And then when I started going hard in workforce development, I started seeing that all of these HR professionals are on LinkedIn. And at that point in time, I started engaging them on there, uploading articles, sharing some personal stories myself as people start to want to hire people who have justice involvement more. Now I'm able to give them some real life in time information right on LinkedIn. And a lot of them frequent LinkedIn the way that I frequent Facebook. And then Instagram, of course, I've made some connections on Instagram in Miami. Like this lady had me come and do an interview on her show, a lady named Sarai Namor. She's a therapist in Miami. And so I was able to make connections in Miami all the way to a guy that just moved to Asheville named Rick Sawyer. And he's the owner of Hope for Miami. So Instagram is very powerful. There's power in the hashtag. I thought hashtags was just to be cool, but hashtags are a way to connect with people with common interests across the world. It's crazy. If you hashtag recovery does happen, or I'm for second chances, or hashtag Appalachia strong, or hashtag 828 strong, or hashtag supportive services. It's just so many things you can hashtag, and then you'll see everybody else who has that common interest. So I do that on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn because everybody does it the same way.
Very good, very good. And I see how you are very familiar with these tools. How do you apply them as a Western North Carolina change agent? That's your slogan, your marketing, your tagline.
Well, I first got that change agent lingo when I was in Human Services Technologies program here at AB Tech Community College. And we were reading something, I forget which class it was, but I remember seeing change agent. And I've stuck with it ever since then. And so I did start a consultancy. It's Change Agent Cooper LLC. And I do some gap filling in the community, as it relates to, gaps in services, as it relates to racial disparities, as it relates to lack of awareness for, advanced manufacturing in certain communities. Like I'm ready to do whatever community engagement that a company, a philanthropist, an organization, whatever they want to do. If they want to do it innovatively with a guy who ain't afraid to get his hands dirty, they call on Change Agent Cooper. But as it relates to how I use these in Western North Carolina, these being Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, the Western North Carolina Human Resource Association, we're active on LinkedIn. So on there, we're able to raise awareness about continuing education, upcomings for people to get those credentials. I use it for the same way with getting the word out, like I say, about trainings and jobs, job fairs. I use it for that here in Western North Carolina. And then I also keep my friends up to date because, like I say, on Facebook, I'm an open book. And I want people to see that because the lifestyle that I come from, Mark, I come from a dark lifestyle, bro. I was gang banging, selling dope, fornicating. I come from a dark lifestyle, and a lot of people knew that about me because I was so heavy in the streets, and I'm from these streets. So I try to let them see my story now and see how I'm operating now, and it inspires. A hashtag inspire or retire. But I want them to see me holding my baby Rosa, kicking it in my living room. I want them to see me kicking it with Nathan Ramsey. And we're very proximate, and we're talking about life and work, but we're talking about both because we're Western North Carolina natives. I want people to see me sharing my story. Like yesterday, I shared my personal story. A lady from a connection from Facebook, a lady from South Carolina has a program called I Have a Story. And so, I shared that. You shared that on YouTube. I want HR professionals to know who I am. I want the police, the law enforcement, I want them to know who I am. I don't want to hide anything. I want you to know who I am, know what I represent, and we partner and we clean up the community, or at least this is a guy you can call on if you want to clean up the community. But this is my purpose. This is my calling. It's a difference between calling and career. And I am able to differentiate that on social media because you can see me preaching the gospel. You can see me giving a speech about barriers to employment, or you can see me holding baby Rosa and we're sitting in the living room. Yep.
I love it. I love it. So the dialogue that we're having so far has been really about the software and the tools that we use to connect. At the root of it, it requires something called broadband, especially for us to be able to video conference with the video element, the audio element, have very good quality in the experience to be able to record it. So broadband, by definition, is from the FCC, and the FCC says, well, broadband is really high-speed internet. High-speed internet being 25 megabits per second down, 3 megabits up. Although with most of us doing video conferencing, we're actually doing a whole lot more uploading than what we've historically done. Mm-hmm. So on the topic of broadband, you seem to be leveraging the software tools very well. Western North Carolina has pockets where broadband is available, either a wired home or work location, or using cellular. Do you have any broadband experiences that kind of surprised you in Western North Carolina?
Well, not necessarily in the spots that I'm located at, because I tend to be somewhere where it's strong, right? I'm on the college campus. I live in, almost in city limits even, so I'm always somewhere where it's not that bad. However, as of recent, with me being in the Appalachian Leadership Institute, which is a program of the Appalachian Regional Commission, I'm in there with folks who are coming from areas where, they don't have it. And there's places here I know too, like in the countryside, I've heard some folks talking about, improving that and everything. But, it didn't really hit me until the pandemic came. And then I started hearing what people were saying, as far as like their kids needing access to the internet, to do their schoolwork. And that's when it really hit me that, wow, I am privileged in this aspect. But I haven't had a personal experience myself as far as I wasn't able to access the internet to do the work that I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. So kind of moving forward on the topic of broadband is two words: digital inclusion. What does that mean to Philip Cooper?
Well, digital inclusion means that people have access, but they also know how to utilize what they have access to, because there's a difference between diversity and inclusion. And I've had this talk with people, and I actually adopted this from a speaker that was at the MLK celebration. How they have that big old nice breakfast every year at the Crown Plaza. And so there was a speaker there, and she said, diversity is inviting people to the dance. Inclusion is asking them to dance when they get there. And so I believe, digital inclusion would mean people have access to these opportunities, but they also know how to utilize the tools that they have access to.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. And synonymous with digital inclusion, we hear the phrase digital equity. You mentioned education, the need for students. Do you have any stories that come to mind when we say digital equity, the right for everybody to have access to high-speed internet?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So first off, I want to give a special shout out to CC Weston. She owns she's the executive director for the Christine W. Avery Learning Center. They serve a vast majority of the inner city youth. There are a lot of Black kids that go there predominantly. And so Miss CC Weston, she gets it. She's always been a champion for fighting for the families, those underrepresented, those fatherless homes, those people who have children and need more support. So her organization, the Christine W. Avery Learning Center, what I noticed there was that they had to go over and beyond to get hotspots for the kids, and so I see that having to get and give whatever is needed to level the playing field as the equity piece, right? Another thing I seen happen was with Francine Delaney with their students. That's where my kids go, right? They provided additional hotspots. So everybody got the Chromebooks, but then they had to turn around, and for some people, they had to also get hotspots so that they could do their schoolwork. So that's what I see as the digital equity. Those are examples.
Very good. Very good. That's perfect. That's right on the money. when we talk about making broadband available, again, broadband being high-speed internet, it is a catalyst for economic development. And I am impressed how Philip Cooper has embraced economic development. You have on your LinkedIn channel an image for higher powered staffing. Mm-hmm. How do you relate broadband use to that attribute?
Well, higher powered. Well, let me go ahead and give a disclaimer. I'm looking to change the name of my company from higher powered staffing to higher powered WNC. The work that I'm looking to do is on a smaller scale. It's not going to be on the as large a scale as I was looking to do at first. It's going to be on a smaller scale, and I'm looking to have quality work with those who are who come from underrepresented populations, as well as being socially and economically disconnected from opportunities, where there was no digital inclusion, where there was no economic development inclusion. And we all know some places recruit from certain areas because it's easy to hire within their networks, but that's a whole nother show. As it relates to how higher powered is doing, bro, I don't even need an office. Like, it's to the point right now, I got a grant. I got a whole grant that I was awarded. Shout out to my folks at the Chamber of Commerce, Venture Asheville. Hello, how you doing? But a part of that money that I got was for an office. I don't even need it because all I need is my MacBook. I mean, you can scan from your iPhone in the notes. You know how you can scan on there. I don't really need a scanner. And I have my MacBook. And so as it relates to broadband, as long as I have access to the internet, I don't really need an office. I would rather meet people in the community anyway, where they're most comfortable at, right? Because I like to think outside the box, especially working with people that haven't been engaged, and then all of a sudden they're getting all of this engagement. Sometimes that'll make them standoffish. So I would rather, I'll meet you where you at. And I used to see you all the time at Starbucks. We both was having a lot of meetings over there. You know what I'm saying? We make it do what it do. And so as long as I have strong internet access, I don't need an office. And I would rather not meet people in my office, to tell you the truth, unless it's like an employer. If an employer wants to meet in my digs, then that's cool. Or if they want to meet at their office, that's cool too, because, I want to cater to them because I need them. I need them to hire the people. But, it's on their call. But when it comes down to the clients, the individuals, man, I'm meeting them in the streets. I'll meet you at your halfway house. I'll meet you at your apartment. I'll meet you at Starbucks, The Grind, which is a new coffee shop located on Depot Street. Yeah. And let me throw one more thing in there real quick. I'm sorry to be so tangential, but you caught me fresh off the coffee this morning. Hallelujah. You had said something about digital inclusion, and I wanted to plug in my sister, Amanda Jo Murphy. She has the Reconnecting Reentry nonprofit that she started. And if anybody that's watching this has some unused laptops that you would like to donate, please consider donating them to Amanda Jo Murphy at Reconnecting Reentry. What are we doing with those laptops, you might ask? Well, speaking of digital inclusion, people who are in recovery right now, they're not going to in-person meetings for the most part. They're doing meetings on Zoom. So they need to have access to this technology so that they can do their Zoom meetings. And it's much easier to do when you do it from a PC, a Chromebook, a MacBook, instead of doing it from your smartphone, because sometimes it can be challenging to use it from here. I also want to say that, we use those laptops. They use those laptops because those laptops are cleaned up and given to people who are recently returning home from incarceration or treatment. These people who get these laptops, they're also able to do job search. They're also to do online homework or soft skills training. Goodwill's doing some good stuff online. AB Tech's offering some stuff online. Shout out to Irene Cabinet. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But they need to have access to devices. And so if you have unused laptops, please consider donating to my sister, Amanda Jo Murphy. She is the executive director of Reconnecting Reentry. And that's what you call digital inclusion, baby.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Philip, flashback a couple of years ago at Western Carolina Rescue Ministry, I had the opportunity to be introduced to you. You came in and talked about AV Tech and the educational opportunities provided for that community. And about a month later or so, we connected with the executive director, and we created I think if I recall correctly, your suggested phrase was technology access, tech access, and tech access grew with the Human Resource Development Department there at AB Tech Continuing Education to provide Chromebook training and the Chromebook, the high-speed internet, thanks to a grant to acquire the Chromebooks, which we still are using at Western Carolina Rescue Ministry. There's, I believe, like 10 Chromebooks, and during the COVID environment, you know, it became evident people needed to get onto a larger screen laptop, larger screen keyboard to do stimulus checks, to do online banking, to do telehealth, to do income tax, to apply for jobs. All of these functions are possible to do on a mobile phone, but many times very, very hard. So I applaud you for helping to seed that programming, because there is, to your point, you can provide a Chromebook, you can provide the internet access. There is an educational element. What comes to mind in regards to AB Tech and tech access and education that you see is working? And when we talk about even the elderly community, the 50+ community that weren't part of the digital environment, they are in a place where they need to connect, and having the digital access is one part, but to make it relevant to the inclusion of everybody in our community, to have digital equity, there is an educational element. Your technology constantly changes. What do you see at AB Tech continuing education that helps address this topic? Or,
well, I know we've had to think outside the box for everything. I mean, when the college closed down, we had to figure out ways to continue offering classes. We had to figure out ways for people to continue to work, specifically those who wasn't, you know, full-time regular. You know, some people had to continue to have work. So we was able to think outside the box for people to have home offices. You know, people were able to order the needed technology support for their homes, hotspots. You know, we could get monitors that people could take home with them if they needed the dual monitor setup. You know, we have some of the best IT champions working here. Shout out to my man Damian Beavers. He's a mighty man when it comes. I'm telling you, man, he's so consistent, and he's a generalist, man. But as it relates to professional development, you know, we just had PD Day last week. PD Day is Professional Development Day, and that's when we have offerings throughout the day for everyone, because at the community college, we have a required amount of continuing education you have to have. And so we were able to utilize the LinkedIn Learning. Wow, LinkedIn Learning is phenomenal. I did the what was the one I did? It was communicating with diplomacy intact. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. If I could have only got my phone to stop ringing, because, you know, like my phone stays blowing up because of the work that I do. But I was really enjoying that professional development. You know, like it was some very good feedback I was getting from them on that professional development. But we've had to think outside the box, even with classes. We've had some upgrades to our advanced manufacturing department. And so they figured out ways for people to continue to get that much needed short-term job trainings in their department. And then everything else, you know, like I say, man, the thing I'm most excited about is people are able to see that they could work from home. And they've done a good job at it. So I think that this pandemic has actually done some good things for many families who may need to work from home from time to time, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that same energy after the pandemic for many people who would do better working from home on certain days.
Yep, I'm going to join you on the shout out for the LinkedIn Learning. Not only can you consume high quality content, and the selection is pretty impressive. It's update, well maintained. When you finish X amount of hours of LinkedIn Learning, it will automatically provide an opportunity to take a certificate and put it onto your LinkedIn profile to share with the world that you are maintaining current knowledge for your job skill set. And likewise, I'm very impressed with that as well.
Yeah, man.
So the awesome part, COVID has been a tough environment for everybody. It has really put a lot of light on the need for broadband to be like electricity, water, the telephone, a utility that should be made available for everybody. And at the federal, at the state, at the county, at the city level, there is money flowing towards fixing the digital divide. Fixing the digital divide, when that money comes in, will require the skill set of folks to have knowledge of how to install fiber, how to dig the necessary conduit to put in the broadband high-speed internet, ideally fiber providing the timeless investment of high-speed broadband internet connectivity. How do you see AB Tech facilitating education around networking, fiber technology jobs for, when the need comes around to implement, a cell tower connection for a 5G, which 5G will require more repeated, closer cellular connections and the skills necessary for people to work in that profession. How do you see AB Tech in facilitating continuing education in that capacity?
Well, I see, just like with everything else, man, AB Tech tends to be the go-to for the trainers, just like with the new Witt and Pratt. I forget the exact name of that new company that's coming here. You see, we right up in the business because we going to be the trainer. We are the community college and we tend to figure out ways to make sure people get the training that they need. We have a lot of foundational classes that are offered here that I believe that will be beneficial as it relates to, what you just asked. Like we have the intro to networks class. We have, what is it called? Cisco and all of that. They teach several classes in that programming. I was in a class that was required when I was in CIS, believe it or not. Like it was like routing and intro to networks and switching, and it was a lot. It gets deep, and I'm not an expert in that part, but I do know that we have those classes and they are foundational. And then some of it is self-taught from what I hear. Like some of those things you can watch online and learn some, if you want to go deep. And it's not, from my understanding, some of them aren't even degrees. They're kind of like certifications that you can get. So I believe here at AB Tech, we definitely prepare people with the foundational for them to go forward and gain those certifications that they need to, to go into that line of work.
Perfect. So as this content is deployed for this interview, you mentioned earlier how a hashtag becomes a categorization of content. And when I deploy content, definitely hashtag broadband, digital divide, digital equity. So what was a Saturday Night Live skit where they did something like this, indicating hashtags? So as we come to closure here, what is Philip Cooper's Change Agent's hashtag that I need to embed into my social media in your recommendation? I know this is going to be original and different, and that's what I want, because I want people to understand when we connect with the different social media channels, the use of a hashtag it becomes a search mechanism to find content out there. And we are trying to implement changes in Western North Carolina by notching up the availability of broadband and dependable broadband throughout our community and further west where it's more of a struggle.
Yeah.
Does the hashtag come to mind?
Well, I like that question. What's my favorite hashtag? I'm gonna eliminate the word favorite, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna supplement that with powerful. What's the most powerful hashtag right now in this current climate? And with my involvement, you know, like I say, with the Appalachian Regional Commission, with the Appalachian Leadership Institute, I would say the most important hashtag right now is Appalachia Strong, because with Appalachia Strong, you have togetherness, and you have a call to action to my fellow Appalachians, you know, and we need to come together. You know, we need to eliminate racism. We need to eliminate classism. We need to collaborate on solutions to where we can improve the Appalachia, right? I believe Appalachia Strong is something that everybody can say, because we're all proud of where we're from. And pride is something that is important when it comes to dealing with, you know, populations who have been overlooked, underrepresented. You know, they all hold on to some form of pride. And so when you hear Appalachia Strong, it makes you tap into whatever it is that makes you strong. You know, whether it be some of your past victories and things that you survived, some of the dark places that you made it out of, or whether it be you kicking that exams behind, and now you're working on your licensed clinical social worker credential, or whether it's you had to, you know, work your way up at a company. Like I met a guy who was a VP. I forget his name. His last name I think is Connor. I went to a wedding. A friend of mine, his brother is a vice president at Biltmore Estate, and he worked his way up the company. You know, Appalachia Strong. So that's the hashtag that I'm leaning on as it relates to workforce development, as it relates to substance use disorder solutions, as it relates to advanced manufacturing, as it relates to, you know, surviving the pandemic. Appalachia Strong. Let's go.
Outstanding. Wow, that was just right on the money. And Philip, I must confess, yesterday I joined the Southwestern Regional Council of Governments, the virtual funders forum that they had yesterday. And Sarah was talking about the Appalachian Regional Commission. I go to the website, I look on their map, and there's a circle right over the Appalachian area, and it's got your picture on it. I said, hot diggity. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's in that Leadership Institute, man. I'm so excited about being a part of that, man, because like I'm connected with people from other states, and I'm a country boy. You know what I'm saying? Like I was born in Rutherford County. You know, I've been to some other states, but not a whole lot of them. Several of the Appalachian states I haven't been to. And so I'm excited about connecting with other leaders, you know, that are up against unique challenges that we face being in areas like this, these Appalachian areas, you know, people who have survived the going away of the coal mining and all of that stuff, and how people had to come together, and how culture is very important to the surviving of a people. You know, but like I say, man, Appalachia Strong is important to me because this is a way for us to come together, and our common goal is for the Appalachia to thrive, because this is our home. And so Appalachia Strong, baby.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Philip, thank you so much for taking a chunk of your valuable time today. Any closing thoughts or comments that you would like to add to this interview?
Man, I'll just drop that plug in again for my sister Amanda Jo Murphy, man, with Reconnect and Reentry. Like I say, if you have unused laptops, or if you want to just donate some money so people can buy some Chromebooks, man, please follow up with Marc. He knows how to reach me or Amanda Jo Murphy. But we would love for you to give us your unused laptops, and we will distribute those to people who will use them for recovery meetings, job search, social skills training, all the things.
Perfect. That sounds great. That sounds great. Well, Brother Philip, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome. It's like I after listening to you here, I don't need any more caffeine. You have given me the energy that I'm ready to be home for the day. So, Brother Philip, thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a wonderful day. You're inspiring. You're an awesome steward to the Western North Carolina community. Thank you for what you do.
To God be the glory, my brother.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Philip.